I can't believe I just did that.
That's a little bit painful. For a little bit of context for you guys, I just recorded half of this brand new episode without a mic plugged in. So it's just me, and you can't hear me saying anything. I can't believe I just did that. We're back with our final episode of the film review series. If you guys are just tuning in, we've already covered 3 college quarterbacks, and we've already broken down all their skills, attributes, and where we think that they're going to land in the draft. So today we're going to take a look at a quarterback who is actually specially requested by Colin Russell G5D. Shout out to you, dude, for going and requesting this video. We're going to take a look at all of his attributes, and we're just going to go break down his career and see where we think that he's actually going to land in this year's draft. So here's my film review of Louisville quarterback Tyler Shough. All right, so we're going to start with his arm talent. This kid's arm strength is absolutely incredible. I mean, he has great knowledge of when to air it out as well. It seems like he's always hitting his receivers wide open down the field and in stride, and he's really, really good at hitting that big play. He has lots of confidence and strength with that arm and the deep ball, which is why it's so good. You have to have confidence in that arm if you're going to go and do something like that, and he absolutely 110% does, as he should, because this is his 7th year in college, I might add. We're going to touch on that a little bit later as well. But he maintains his pocket presence really, really nicely. But sometimes too much pressure can weaken him on a drive. So, for example, if you're getting like double blitzed or whatever on first and second down, and he kind of can't get the ball out in time, he gets a little bit flustered. He has problems going through his progressions. Kind of has a little bit of trouble kind of looking down the field for that deep ball as well. It just seems like he gets a little bit mixed up sometimes. That happens with all quarterbacks, but it's a little bit concerning with him because some of the throws that he's making are a little bit questionable, to say the least. But honestly, that's the only bad thing I can say about his arm talent. Turnovers aren't a very good thing, so I am going to have to knock him a little bit for it. But his overall is going to be a 7.5 out of 10. Again, love that deep ball, has so much confidence in that arm. It's just, I would really like to see him handle pressure a little bit better. Now, moving on to the mobility, he is very, very mobile whenever it comes to the pocket. And he is aware of when to escape. He typically knows when the edge rushers are coming and when to roll left or right. So that part about his mobility is great. However, he reminds me a little bit of a less mobile Josh Allen. So not much speed to the kid. And he doesn't really like to go beyond the line of scrimmage, to be completely honest with you. He's definitely looking to pass the ball, which is what you want from your quarterback. But occasionally, sometimes he should just pull down the ball and go and take whatever yards you can get, because he gets flustered out of the pocket sometimes. And again, if that pressure is too much on him, then he can kind of force a bad throw. It's not like he's running a 5.1 or anything. He's not like slow as molasses, but it's really nothing to ride home about his speed. I mean, nothing to celebrate, nothing to frown upon. But I'd much rather if he just kept on working on his passing, because that is definitely going to be the strong suit of his game. Again, mobility inside the pocket, I love it. But mobility everywhere else is really, really not that great. So overall for mobility, I'm going to give him a 4 out of 10. All right, so moving on to the size and the frame. This guy is the perfect quarterback height. He is 6'5", and like I said in my last video with Cam Ward, I typically like my quarterbacks in between 6'4" to 6'6", smack dab right in the middle there with 6'5". However, he is 225 pounds, which I am not liking very much at that height. So he gives the impression that he has a lot more mobility than he actually does with that weight and height. But in reality, his mobility is kind of one of the worst attributes of his game. So in my opinion, I think that he should put on an extra 10 to 15 pounds so that he's able to break these sacks a lot better. Now, he doesn't like to take sacks. Like, that's 110%. Sometimes he forces some really iffy throws. I feel like if he puts on the 10 to 15 pounds, he'll have a little bit more confidence that he can break out of those sacks. And in reality, he will break out of those sacks a lot better. I mean, an extra 10 to 15 pounds, especially if it's muscle in the legs, I mean, dude, that's a lot. Like, that's a lot of strength that you're putting onto yourself, and you're going to be able to go and break those defenders a lot more easy. So, I mean, really, I can't knock him too much for the weight, because 225 isn't terrible. I mean, Josh Allen's 6'5", and I think that he's 233 or 235. We watch him play in the NFL all the time, and that dude is fantastic at breaking the sack. So I think that if Tyler puts on these extra 10 to 15 pounds, really, he's going to start looking like Josh Allen whenever it comes to breaking the sacks. Obviously, got to go and deal with those pressure issues and everything like that, and worrying about where he's throwing the ball. But other than that, I'm not too worried at all. I'm going to give him an overall of 7.5 out of 10 on the size and the frame. All right, so moving on to the accuracy. He likes to keep composed in the pocket, and he sends hard strikes to his receivers. The deep ball is really fantastic. Like I said from before, he has really, really impressive ball placement. Seems to know exactly where to throw it, whether that's high or low, whenever he's throwing it deep down the field. Because sometimes whenever the DB's like kind of overrunning the receiver a little bit, he's really good at reading that. And then he can throw low and a little bit behind the receiver so that he can make a play on the ball, which I really, really like. Now, like I said from before, he loses accuracy whenever he's over pressured outside of the pocket. So I mean, like if somebody is chasing him and he can't really find the receiver downfield, instead of taking the sack or again running beyond the line of scrimmage, he typically likes to make a kind of iffy throw. Didn't have that many turnovers this year, so like I can't really knock him too much for it. But it is very, very obvious that he gets a little bit flustered whenever that pressure comes in. So the ball doesn't come out too quick on the 6-man blitz. It seems like his mind gets a little bit scrambled, which is kind of typical whenever you have 250-pound men running at you. But yeah, like it just doesn't really come out too fast on that 6-man blitz, and I get a little bit worried that he's just going to try and make a bad throw because again, he hates taking sacks. So the only thing I can say about the accuracy is honestly, his accuracy will improve if he just gets more comfortable with taking sacks. If he's okay with going down and getting tackled and losing like 7 yards or something like that, say it's 3rd and 16, I have utmost confidence that the coaches are going to put in a deep ball play for this guy. And if he has the correct receiver, he is going to get the ball there. Like, no doubt. He has great ball placement whenever it's thrown deep, like I said before. And I just really, really think that if, I know it's an odd take, but if he starts taking sacks, I think it might actually up his confidence a little bit. I mean, it just really seems to like worry him a lot. And to get that anxiety out of his head, I think it's really going to fix the accuracy of his game. But I mean, overall, I'm going to give him a 7 out of 10 on the accuracy because deep ball is great, but that pressure is really an issue. And you are going to face a lot of pressure in the NFLs, especially with a lot of these high talent defenses out there. And moving on to the decision making, more of the same that we talked about from before, great inside the pocket. But he gets more risky as he drifts further and further and further away outside of the pocket. The pressure leads him to make really, really hasty decisions, and he just needs to develop under pressure, guys. Like, the decision making is probably one of the things that I'm questioning hardest because whenever that pressure comes, I mean, I'm just really worried that he's going to just try and huck it. So I'm not very confident in his ability to not force turnovers in the NFL. He really needs to learn to tuck the ball and make the sack. And honestly, if he did that, his decision-making ranking would be a whole lot higher, but I don't want to get too repetitive with this because we already did kind of talk about it a lot. I am going to give him a 6 out of 10 overall for his decision-making grade. All right, so moving on to the football IQ. I mean, this guy has 7 years of college experience, which is honestly like kind of a gift. It just depends on how he uses it. He seems to know defenses really well, especially man defenses, guys. He can pick up a man defense like nobody else, and he knows his receiver's going to beat it. So again, he's great at chucking that deep ball down there, and he can just really, really read. It's like he can kind of see it before it happens, if that makes sense, which is really, really impressive. He only has 1 full year starting. Now, he did start at a few other colleges. He went to Oregon and somewhere else before Louisville. I'm going to be completely honest. I'm blanking on the second college right now. But he's only had 1 full year starting because he dealt with so many injuries, which is also kind of a concern. So I always think back to Tony Romo whenever I think about injuries in quarterbacks. Tony Romo would have had a fantastic career if his bones were made of glass. Hopefully, I can't say the same for Tyler. I hope that he doesn't have any more injuries, obviously, for the rest of his career, especially nothing major. But yeah, 1 full year starting kind of has me really concerned. He has the experience and everything like that with those 7 years, but I mean, a full season is really, really important to play. And whenever you only have one of those out of 7 years, it just kind of makes me scratch my head a little bit and wonder, is this, like, if I'm a GM or a coach, I'm kind of wondering, is this really the guy that we want? But I don't really know. So he's decent at reading the blitz and rolling out, like I said from before, and he just kind of leaves more to be desired, though. Like, he has a lot of knowledge. Like, that is undeniable. But I just feel like I can see a whole lot more from him, especially with 7 years of experience. I mean, like, with that being said, though, I mean, he adapts to new environments very well. I mean, he switched colleges 3 times, guys. So, I mean, it's kind of obvious that he adapts to new environments well. So I think that he's going to be able to adapt to NFL defenders very, very well. but I also don't think that he should start in his first year. Like, no way. Definitely going to be a year one sitter unless teams get absolutely desperate. God forbid something happens to a starting quarterback this year. Um, but yeah, like his football IQ is pretty decent, but again, a little bit more to be desired there. Got to give him a 7.5 out of 10. All right, moving on to the final part of his game, which is his overall character. His maturity is beyond his years, guys, and his leadership that he's shown in all 7 years of his collegiate career is truly incredible. I mean, he's dealt with a ton of personal issues growing up in his life and everything like that, including his mother whenever he was 6 years old, stage 4 cancer. Thank God that she's been cancer free for 13 years now. I mean, it's that's got to be so hard to deal with as a kid, but I mean, he persevered, and going through college, he's maintained a 4.5 grade point average, which is absolutely insane whenever you're a starting quarterback in the NCAA, and to hold a 4.5 grade point average. This guy is no dummy. His hospitality for his teammates is absolutely fantastic, and he truly loves everybody that's around him. There's multiple stories of him going out and buying dinners for his linemen and everything like that to just go and show his appreciation. He's a really good guy. And he was the winner of the NCAA Comeback Player of the Year award in 2024. And he's much deserving of it, especially after all those injuries and the 1 year starting that he did have at Louisville. I mean, it was very impressive. And then, like, obviously, we have to talk about the grit and the passion. He's just the ultimate competitor whenever it comes to all of these things. He has the determination to be a very, very good quarterback in the NFL. I'm just wondering if the skills are going to go and reflect that. He makes a positive impact on and off the field, and he has persevered despite everything thrown in his way, guys. Like, this is a really, really special guy. And I think that he can be something special in the NFL if he just goes and works on a lot of these things that we talked about from before. But the one thing he doesn't have to work on whatsoever is his character. I got to give him a straight up 10 out of 10. So, with all that being said, I'm going to have Tyler Shough's final grade come to a 7.1 out of 10, which I feel like is a very fair grade for him. I mean, there's a lot of things to consider with the kid, in my opinion. He's probably the biggest question mark quarterback of the draft. Um, and again, he just kind of leaves like a little bit more to be desired, but that has me very, very interested. I mean, I don't think that this guy is going to be a bust in the NFL. I think that he's going to make some pretty good plays, and I think that his name's going to get called a few times. I'm just really hoping he gets drafted to a team with a veteran quarterback, because if a team tries to throw him in there this year for the 2025 season, it's not going to work out for him, and I think that he's going to have kind of a bust career. But his learning capabilities are incredible. I mean, obviously, he has a 4.5 GPA, and with the teachings of a veteran NFL quarterback breaking down his game, I feel like he can excel in the next 2 or 3 years in the NFL. But he definitely needs that development time. Maybe second year he can start starting, but in the third year, I think without a doubt, he can start. And I think that he's going to be pretty good at it. But again, got to prove it on the field. So I'm going to predict him to be either a very late day 2 pick or a very, very early day 3 pick. He should be lingering down there for a bit. And if I were to guess, my hometown Pittsburgh Steelers or the Seattle Seahawks are going to end up picking him up. And as a Steelers fan, I mean, I'd be happy to draft Shough in the later rounds. He's a great learner, and it seems like he can develop fantastic. But if you were to go to the Seahawks, I have a lot of confidence in their coaching staff to go and be able to teach him up. And also veteran quarterback Sam Darnold. I mean, Sam Darnold, he has been a journeyman for a little bit. He's learned a lot about the NFL. He's learned about how to improve on his own personal game. And honestly, I feel like Sam Darnold might be like one of the perfect mentors for him to go and try and teach him up a little bit. I get that Sam Darnold isn't like elite or anything like that. And like whenever we talk about veteran quarterbacks, some people think of the old days like Tom Brady, Big Ben, and like currently Aaron Rodgers, but wherever that guy's going to go. But no, like I feel like Sam Darnold is a good type of veteran quarterback for him because he's had so much experience with so many other like terrible organizations, and he's had some bad experiences, but then he made it to the playoffs with Minnesota, and he just kind of got thrown in there because JJ McCarthy got hurt. So I really do think that if he does get drafted to a team like Seattle, learns behind someone like Sam Darnold, he's going to have a pretty successful career. And with all that being said, guys, thank you guys so much for keeping up with my film review series. It's been a ton of fun to do this. I cannot wait for the NFL draft, and I'm so nervous about who the Steelers are going to pick. I have no idea who we're going to spend on our first round pick. I just hope that it's not Shedeur Sanders. I don't think Shedeur Sanders will fall that far, but for the Steelers personally, we need other things other than a quarterback right now. Let's build around the team. But anyway, guys, thank you guys so much for watching and keeping up with the series. Be sure to like and subscribe to go keep up with more of my content. Today or tomorrow, I believe I'm going to have a video up about the NHL playoffs coming up. Obviously, my hometown Pittsburgh Penguins are not in the playoffs again this year. So I'm going to reveal to you guys who I'm rooting for this year. And yeah, stay tuned for that. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye bye.